The wilderness is not a place of comfort. It strips a man bare. It does not flatter him. It does not carry him. It does not soothe him. It exposes him. And in the desert of the soul, every illusion is torn away until only steel and spirit remain. The man who will become what he was meant to be cannot build himself on sand. He must root himself in the rock, unshaken, unbroken, unmoved by the storm. Blessed be the Lord my strength, which teacheth my hands to war and my fingers to fight. Psalm chapter 144, verse 1. And storms will come, the winds will howl, the rain will fall. The fire will test every hidden corner of your being, and what is straw will be consumed. What is gold will endure. A man is not made by applause, nor by the fleeting honors of men. A man is forged in silence, when the world is asleep, when no eyes watch, when no voice affirms. It is in the hours of solitude that discipline burns hottest. It is there that the covenant between you and God is proven. You were not called to drift like the prodigal through a land of wasted inheritance. You were called to stand like the watchman on the wall, vigilant, enduring, unmoved until dawn breaks. You were not anointed to bow to the voice of temptation. You were anointed to walk through fire and come forth purified. And so the gauntlet is thrown. If the Lord called you to stand today, stripped of all comfort, would you stand or break? This is no question for the faint-hearted. It is the trial at the first step. For a man who cannot stand with nothing cannot stand at all. Discipline begins when comfort ends. Strength begins when ease is gone. Faith begins when sight is lost. The soldier of Christ is not fashioned in palaces, but in caves. Not in banquets, but in wilderness fasting. Not in laughter, but in tears shed alone before the altar. The discipline that terrifies hell is not outward show. It is the inward vow, the unseen resolve, the secret obedience when no one else would know if you failed. The world will tell you to follow desire, to chase fleeting pleasures, to drown your hunger in excess. But the man of God eats the bread of discipline. He drinks the cup of obedience. He walks not by the cravings of his flesh, but by the oath of his soul. This oath is not sworn in weakness, but in fire. And when the fire rages, it proves the vow true. So rise, tighten your grip. The first cut has been made. The path has begun. A city without walls is a feast for its enemies. No trumpet needs to sound, no battering ram is required, for what is unguarded is already taken. And so it is with the undisciplined man. He may bear the armor of God outwardly, but if he has not conquered his spirit, the gates stand wide. Discipline is not the chaining of a man, but his freedom from ruin. It is the mortar between the stones of his fortress, the fire that keeps the lamp burning through the night, the unseen strength that does not falter when temptation prowls. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. Proverbs chapter 25, verse 28. The undisciplined fall not by the strength of the enemy, but by their own unguarded hearts. To be the man you are meant to be, you must make war first within. For the greatest enemy is not the blade drawn against you, but the weakness that whispers inside you. Pride, lust, anger, envy, sloth. They do not storm the gate, they seep through the cracks. And if the cracks remain, the whole wall will fall. Here I command you to halt. Look inward, not outward. Do not raise your eyes to blame another. Fix them upon your own hands, your own heart. What sin, what chain still holds your sword arm from striking? Speak it not to me, but to the Lord who sees in secret. Bring it into the light, for what remains hidden will master you. Better to fight wounded in truth than to march proudly in deception. The man of discipline bends his knees in the night and lays bare his chains, not to excuse them, but to see them broken. Every morning he rises with steel in his spirit, knowing he must guard the walls again. For discipline is not forged once, it is tested daily. Do not despise the small battles. It is in the refusal of the first glance, the stilling of the tongue before wrath, the silent prayer instead of the careless word, that the warrior's fortress is built stone upon stone. The watchman does not sleep because the enemy prowls always. So too must you keep watch, for your adversary seeks the weak point. And when the hour comes that you must stand in open war, it will not be strength you borrow in that moment, but the discipline you built in silence. Every unseen victory within will become the shield that deflects the arrows without. Every self-rule will become the blade in your hand. Hell fears not the man who fights with fury, but the one who rules his spirit with iron and silence. For such a man is already a fortress, and no darkness can breach him. The cross is heavier than the sword. Steel may cut once and be done, but the cross presses without ceasing. It lays its weight upon your shoulders at dawn, and does not release until the last breath of the day. This is not the burden of defeat, it is the burden of covenant. A man does not become what he is meant to be by following his own desires. He becomes it by crucifying them. The world will tell you that freedom is the indulgence of the flesh, but the truth is this: indulgence enslaves, obedience frees. If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily, and follow me. Luke, chapter 9, verse 23. Every chain that has ever broken a man was forged from his own desires. Every crown that has ever endured was bought with sacrifice. You must learn to walk the Garden of Gethsemane. There, in the silence of the olive press, when even friends sleep and no one watches, the soul is ground down to its essence. The man who can whisper, "Not my will, but thine," in that place, has already won a greater battle than 1,000 fought with blades. The discipline that terrifies hell is not a loud oath shouted in daylight. It is the quiet submission at midnight, when the weight of the cross crushes every ounce of pride. It is the daily death to self, the refusal to let the old man live again. Do not flee the weight. Do not cast off the yoke. The Son bore it to the end, and if you would follow him, you must take it up also. Not once, but every day. The flesh will howl, the mind will resist, the heart will grow weary. But discipline does not bow. Discipline endures. Discipline obeys. Here you must ask yourself, though no voice answers aloud, when the garden is silent, when betrayal is near, when the cup is pressed to your lips, will you drink it? Or will you run into the shadows with the faithless? The man who becomes what he was meant to be does not choose the easy road. He chooses the narrow, thorn-covered path, where every step is obedience and every breath is surrender. The cross is not his shame, but his honor. It is the sign that he belongs not to himself, but to the King. Let the world laugh, let them mock, let them call you bound. For the day is coming when the mockers will see the cross revealed as the crown, and the crown they sought revealed as dust. Carry it, grip it, make it your daily companion, for only he who dies daily shall rise eternally. The summit is not reached by accident. It is cut into the mountain by sweat, by scars, by silence, by obedience. Every wound along the way was not in vain, but a mark that you did not turn back. And now the gates stand before you. Not gates built by men, but the gates of Zion, unshaken, unbroken, eternal. Do not think the final hour will be without fire. The enemy will make his last charge, dragging every chain he still holds. He will roar like a lion, but it is the roar of one already defeated. Do not tremble. Your armor may be dented, your sword worn, your body weary, but the seal of the King is upon you still. He that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white raiment, and I will not blot out his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. Revelation chapter 3, verse 5. And so I put the last cut to you. When the trumpet sounds and the gates are closed, will your name be found among the faithful or the fallen? This answer is not given with lips, but with life. Your scars will speak louder than your boasts. Your discipline will testify louder than your excuses. Your unseen obedience will echo when every shout has faded. Hell fears not the man who begins with passion, but the one who ends with faith. The one who crosses the line not with ease, but with endurance. The one who still carries his cross when others have long since cast theirs aside. That man terrifies the pit, because his name is sealed where no darkness can reach. And on that day, before the throne of light, when every soul stands stripped and every deed revealed, there will be no hiding, no masks, no pretenses. There will only be those who overcame and those who were overcome. So stand now as one who has already chosen. Live as one whose name is already written. Fight as one whose crown is already forged. For the King does not call you to comfort, but to conquest. Not conquest of others, but of yourself. Not conquest of kingdoms, but of the darkness within. Lift your head, soldier of Christ. The trumpet is near. The battle is almost finished. The reward is at hand. And when the heavens open, and the rider descends clothed in fire, and the hosts march in unison behind him, let it be found that you stood unbroken, that you endured hardness, that you bore the cross, that you became the man God meant you to be.